Attention, bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen! Hello, yodelers. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I'm your host today, Peter, with my co-host
Jackie.
and
Japheth.
and
Father Yodeler.
And today we're going back all the way back to the Disney decade,
What's the Disney decade?
which is exactly the same question that you asked when I said, let's talk about the Disney decade. You guys were like, what?
I just said, oh, it sounds like it's not a me episode, but a you episode.
Exactly. Even I was even surprised. Father Yodeler, you were also like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Who created the Disney decade?
Some guy on the internet. Peter believes he's like,
Michael
what?
Eisner, okay? Michael Eisner created
Oh,
it.
that guy on the internet. Okay.
Yeah, that you
I
know,
don't
it's
like
just a
that guy.
random
Throw him in
random
the
YouTuber.
dumpster.
So was his partner still alive at that
At
point
this
when
point.
he did?
Yes,
Oh,
he does.
okay.
Yes, he
all
was.
right. All right. That explains a lot.
So what the Disney decade was, it happened. He announced it shortly after the opening of the MGM Studios. So he said basically the 90s was going to be he labeled it as the Disney decade, where
I still think it is the most Disney of all decades.
and there's arguments to make that point, and I would agree with you for the most part that
How can
with
that-
what we got,
how
was-
can
we got
that-
a lot.
How can that be when Walt Disney was long gone? So when Disney was here, he didn't create any Disney decade?
But if you could think if there was a decade that had more impact, you probably think of maybe like the 50s.
50s is big.
50s is big, but I think the 90s like
It-
got
it-
it,
it-
out
The
of-
90s created the Disney,
Disney
adults.
Correct.
And like
Yeah.
you had the really low points of the 80s. I mean,
Like, it was truly the revival of the Disney company.
without the
was
90s, I don't know, you would have had.
Oh, the revival? Yes, definitely the revival.
So, you know, there was a lot of successes, a lot of things that we got. You can name off. We had the Disney Renaissance. So, like, this was impacting the entire company as a whole. It wasn't just about theme parks. It was
Right.
about
Beauty and the
everything.
Beast came out in the 90s.
Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Hercules, Lion King, you know, like all those amazing Disney Renaissance movies. You had the Disney Cruise Line started in the 90s.
Yep.
Let's see here. What else? We got,
You got Paris.
Paris.
We'll
You had
always
The
have Paris.
downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had Animal Kingdom opened up. You had Indiana Jones, Splash Mountain
Splash Mountain was in the 90s?
at Disney World.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Disney
It
World.
was
But
80s.
they
I was
they
there.
associate, even though Disneyland opened up in the 80s, it opened after the announcement of the Disney decade, so they group it in
So
there,
they take
even
credit
though-
for it. It's like when a president's
Oh.
all like, oh,
Right.
this is a good thing. Let me take care of
Exactly.
this. No, it really had no impact on this.
Right.
Okay.
And so, like, there's a lot of good things that happened in the Disney decade, but there was a lot of things that we didn't get.
Yeah, well, we got Disney Club. That didn't last too long. I think that's a Foot Locker.
That
right
was
now.
one of those failures. There
There
was
was a
there
lot of
was a lot of
failures.
failures.
Didn't they have like a Disney dining?
There was a Disney fast food
Yeah,
restaurant.
Disney fast food.
It was like I think it was like Mickey's Kitchen or something like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, that didn't last very long. But early on in the Disney decade, they made what we're going to talk about today are going to be the actual announcements that they made to the public saying, we are going to do this to the theme parks. I think somebody did a total out of all the theme parks, and who got screwed the most was Disneyland Park. Disneyland Park got screwed the most when it came to the announcements that were made and the promises that were broken.
And is it just that they missed out on great, like,
They just didn't-
products that
they-
were going to come out of those announcements, or did they just did not come into fruition?
They didn't come into fruition.
Okay, so we'll be the judge of whether or not
Correct.
it would have been good or bad
Correct.
because we're experts of this. 250 episodes later.
So I do have a list of attractions and shows that were announced, for the Disney parks and their estimated time frame of opening, and then I have ones that were never given official time frames, but they were announced that they were going to do these things. So we'll start 91. So MGM Studios had just opened. Very popular attraction was the Backlot Tram Tour. They were going to do an expansion to it called Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Kind of like the Tokyo Disney Sea.
Kind of like the Tokyo Disney Sea. It's one of those, like, you look at like what their plans were and you go, oh,
They ripped it off.
that's it's one of those things.
They repurposed
it for Tokyo Sea.
Yeah.
But this got canceled because of their decision to build Sunset Boulevard. So the money that was meant for that went to Sunset Boulevard, which is where Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, that area. So that got canned because of that. There was going to be... Oh, were you going to...
No, I was just yawning.
You were yawning. Okay. Sorry, I'm not... This isn't the action-packed, goofy episode that we normally do.
We made a pact before this. We weren't going to say anything.
I know. I'm sure.
Should have told me that. If it was going to be action-packed, I could get my cabbage and
Well,
start
here's
beating it.
Here's something to get your attention. There was going to be an Indiana Jones show at Disneyland Park in 91.
Where were they going to put
Where
it?
were they gonna? Oh, by Fantasyland.
Oh, Frontierland. So in
Oh.
that festival area where the petting zoo was,
Oh,
or Galaxy's Edge.
Where
that-
Okay.
Galaxy Edge is. Oh.
Okay.
So it's going to be a young Indiana Jones show.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
that
they
was
just showed.
fun.
Just it wasn't that popular though.
Well, the show got canceled before the TV show got announced. So we got the TV show in place of the show
Okay.
at the parks. And then there was going to do a Muppet live show. There was going to be a Muppet show at Disneyland.
Was it going to be a Muppet Indiana Jones show?
That would be
That's
interesting.
an idea.
That would be interesting.
Who's Indiana Jones?
Oh,
Kermit.
Muppet.
It is
Yeah.
Kermit. He's already played Indiana Jones
Yeah.
before.
He
and,
has.
and Miss Piggy would be Mary.
Mary,
The sass.
absolutely.
You got the sass
Oh,
from
who's
her.
Sala?
Oh, it's Fozzie.
Fozzie.
All
absolutely.
the way, Fozzie.
Sorry, tangent here.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
Gonzo's a Nazi.
What? That's horrible. You have plenty of villains.
What's the
Gonzo's
Swedish
not.
fish?
Swedish
Not
fish?
the Swedish.
You may be
Listen.
you may be a
The chef.
All right. In 93, we're jumping up. Disney World was going to get a Little Mermaid ride. Now, you can actually see, Disney has actually released the test footage of what this attraction was going to be when they released the Little Mermaid DVD. So, like,
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that.
that was what the ride was going to be like originally. It's going to be a Peter Pan style ride, so it's going to be a...
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Floating over.
because you're gonna go like
Mhm.
down
Go
below.
down.
I remember seeing that, and I'm like, that's a way better ride.
Yeah.
than what we got. Absolutely. So that was supposed to happen in 93. 94, we were supposed to get our big Disneyland Tomorrowland update called Tomorrowland 2055. There we were supposed to get Alien Encounter. This is Disneyland Park. Alien Encounter, which Disney World did eventually get. And then there was going to be a show called Plaku's Fantastic Intergalactic Review.
What?
So this
I've
was going
heard
to
about that.
this
yeah.
was going to take over the spot where America Sings or Carousel of Progress, the Interventions building. So it's going to be in that rotating building sort of show. It was
What
just
a
going to be
waste of
an
space
alien
that
show.
place has.
We do have remnants of it today at Disney World, and a very popular character at what's his name? At Ray's Starlight.
Oh.
What's his name? Oh man, now I'm forgetting his name. But
I
Talking about
just
the talking
listened to that
garbage can?
Yeah.
yesterday.
No,
what?
not the
I just
talking.
listened
Are
Not
you
the
talking
garbage
the
can.
piano
no, the
player?
piano. Yeah, I forget his name.
Oh, Starlight. It's
Oh
with an
man,
S.
I know. I'm a horrible Disney fan. I don't remember his name, but he was supposedly originally supposed to be a part of that show, and then they booted him over to Disney World instead.
Disney World always got the sloppy seconds.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Disney World didn't get a lot of announcements for the Disney decade. They were going to do a lot of focus for.
Well, the park had
They got
only
that cool
been
commercial.
open for what, 10 years?
No, it had been open for 20 years.
Mission Space is not a sloppy second.
Well, what?
No.
Yeah, it
The
is.
Disney decade was this announced
Oh
in
yeah,
the 90s?
that's coming. I'm going to
Oh,
talk
it's coming
about.
back.
I'm going
Oh.
to talk about what we should have got instead of Mission Space.
All right.
Oh no, the ideas for Mission Space are way cooler.
Really?
We were gonna have like an anti-gravity room.
Oh,
Like it
wow.
was gonna be really cool.
Yeah.
We used to have like in the break room we'd had little like cardboard like this is what it would have been.
The space pavilion.
while
But-
we're in a crummy trailer in Florida.
In
behind
the
ride.
anti-gravity room, they need too many garbage cans around
Already.
there, so that went over budget on the garbage cans.
I think we were the
So.
only place that had open top garbage
Yeah.
cans.
No, they were
Yeah.
definitely going to need it there.
Yeah, lots of puke. Way too much.
In 1996, they were planning on opening the Dick Tracy Crime Stoppers.
Oh.
So this was going to be a ride like Indiana Jones, but with Buzz Lightyear gun, like with Tommy guns. But it was going to be like a Buzz Lightyear ride.
Ooh, Tommy gun.
So exactly.
This ride would not age well in the future.
Probably not.
The NRA approves this one.
Sponsor, yeah.
that
You
was
got a
something-
sponsor.
That was something I didn't realize is that this was the original purpose of that Indiana Jones ride vehicle was actually meant for the Dick Tracy ride. So
What is it? The
Like
Webley,
the-
the 38 Webley that he shoots. That when he's shooting it in that bar scene or that bar fight and Raiders of the Lost, that is the loudest gun,
know,
and you're just like, it gets you into the like those punches are loud, that gunfire. It's like I'm in a movie.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is great. Sorry, tangenting.
no, you're good.
We got on Indiana Jones.
Sorry.
So
My dopamine hit.
But
on
yeah,
that
that was
one.
kind of an interesting thing. Obviously, that didn't happen because the movie did not perform well,
Nah.
and so they scrapped it.
Have you ever watched it, Jackie?
I don't think I've
You've never watched
ever
Dick Tracy?
seen
Wow.
Dick Tracy.
Watch it.
That one, oh yeah, we should do a review on it.
I love Mumble's scene.
Just
yeah.
all the actors in there, just seeing.
I guess that's a future episode.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we have
It just
to watch
it's just
it
it has
now.
it's not on Disney Plus, so it's one of those like do we just do it and just talk about it? And so, well, you can rent it on Amazon. You know,
Yeah, why
I don't
not?
know.
We could
It's
still talk
not
about
on,
it.
It's
on
not
Disney,
on Disney
anymore.
Plus.
Isn't it a touchstone?
Never was.
Never was.
Never was.
Oh wow, we can all come over here and do a live. We'll do a audio commentary.
Right.
And I'll be like, shh, I'm watching a movie.
But like they had high hopes, and that one was announced, before that movie had even come out. That they had expected that movie to perform well. So, 1999, they planned on opening Hollywoodland at Disneyland. That's where the Dick Tracy ride was going to be.
Where were they gonna put that?
Supposedly
Here,
from
all
the
these
brief
ideas.
snippet, from what it looked like it was going to be where the bus drop off is.
Okay,
so it was
it's
gonna
an
be-
expansion.
It was going to be kind of off of, so you'd be kind of go through.
'Cause
I
this
guess
is
maybe off of Main
pre-California
Street. Yeah,
Adventure.
it's pre-California.
How's it pre-California Adventure? Like, was California Adventure that
Oh,
hastily put together?
We're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about
because that
California.
showed up in the
Adventure.
middle of the '90s.
Wait, so they announced this in 1999?
No, they announced this in 1990.
Oh, okay.
Dick Tracy, yeah, it was around the early '90s when it came out.
They were also Disneyland was also gonna get a great movie ride.
Well,
Okay.
I
So,
wish
in
they
that
did.
I
lane.
wish they did that at California Adventure in the back lot.
It would have been in the back lot for what Peter describes.
Yep, it would have been right about there. Also, there was going to be a lot of Roger Rabbit. So there's going to be a lot
That's
of Roger
so
Rabbit.
interesting to me. Was
so-
it that big when it first came
Roger
out?
Rabbit was pretty big. His shorts
It was the
were
first
really
crossover.
enjoyable when
Yeah.
they would come out attached to other videos that came out or whatever.
Like
other
the
movies.
Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah,
There was a short for that. That was fun.
no,
So-
it was fun.
It was
Yeah.
pretty big. It was like Frozen level big.
No.
No,
No.
nothing's.
The movie itself was not that big, but the shorts were The
Okay.
cartoons were
It was the first time you had Looney Tunes mixing with Disney, really.
Yeah.
Where you saw Daffy Duck and Donald Duck in that movie battling it. That was epic.
yeah.
Oh, that was a great scene.
And so that was just fun. Like I thought that scene overshadowed Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny like dropping from, skydiving.
Well, the only reason, and I learned this, the only reason how they got Bugs Bunny into the movie is that the deal was that Bugs Bunny would have the same amount of lines as Mickey Mouse.
That's fair.
And so
That's
that
easy.
was the arrangement that like the only way you could do that, they had to have the same number of lines. Same words, like they even went down to the syllable. Like it's the same amount of syllables. Like we are not gonna cross this line. We're not gonna.
We're not creating
Really,
a
of all the
war.
lines they've crossed in history,
I know, right?
to where no one's like, yeah, I don't want to buy them right now. No one
Now-
wants it.
now Bugs Bunny's for sale.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was gonna be a ride based off of one of the shorts, the Baby Herman's Runaway Buggy Ride. So you were
Oh,
gonna,
okay.
They really wanted to go all in on
So
this
that-
new character.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
that's what Sunset Boulevard was originally meant to be. Was supposed to be a Roger Rabbit land. It was supposed to be like Maroon Studios.
Wow.
They really were going
Oh yeah,
all
there was
in
going to be
on
like
this.
3 rides.
They were letting Imagineers go with their creativity.
Can you imagine, like, pick out like a random movie where like we're gonna build a land and this is gonna be huge.
What's a random Disney movie?
That would have been like that just,
Avatar.
like-
No.
no, like Treasure Planet.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Atlantis. We're gonna make a
Yes.
whole land about Atlantis, and the movie just
But you
been
know
like,
what?
eh.
That probably would have been really
Well,
cool.
Yeah.
that is a story of a failure for the Disney decade, was because they did announce Atlantis ride
Oh yeah.
But it-
before the ride
But
had
to
before
commit,
the
like,
movie
a
had
whole
even come out.
land to like a movie before it really comes out. It's like that's bold.
That's right.
So-
With like they announced the Atlantis and they put it and they're like coming soon and then they just slowly like got rid of it. The sign.
I could see them doing that with Wish.
Sure.
Because they went all in on Wish. You could still
Yeah,
see
they
merchandise
did.
at Target. They're like, please, it's on clearance.
Please buy it."
this. We bought too much of this.
Please buy this.
So the last one that had like a definite like year announcement was the Space Pavilion, which we kind of talked about, which eventually, so this was going to actually stay in the same building as Horizon. So the plan was that they were not going to destroy the building for Horizon.
But then the engineer came through and he's like, this thing is falling apart.
correct. And
The
so
foundation has to be ripped out.
And so yeah, so they had to destroy it, and they said, well, that's going to cost us more money, and there was massive budget cuts for a lot of things, which we'll talk about the reasons why. Towards the end here, I want to talk about the things that we didn't get, and we'll talk about why we didn't get most of these things.
Why?
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, the
Good riddance.
as you mentioned, with the Space Pavilion, yeah, there was supposed to be like an anti-gravity machine. Like, it was going to be
like
crazy.
Space Command was going to be awesome.
And then
Right.
lawyers got involved and yeah. No.
It's the accountants and lawyers that
Yes.
ruin
Oh, yeah.
everything.
So, the list of announcements that were announced but never given definite dates. Westcott, the West
Oh,
Coast version of
I remember
Epcot.
that. Oh, look, they're gonna build it. Look, they got pictures and everything, and then nothing.
Oh, was this
This was
Epcot
supposed
to
to
be in
be
California?
Adventure.
Yes.
Oh.
So,
Everyone loves California. 10 years later, there's no sign of California.
I know.
Adventure.
Oh, when
Not
that
even the
came out,
sign
they
in the
said,
front.
we've
No.
decided to change it. We're going to make it all about California because when people come to California, they want to see California. And I'm saying, well, if they're in California, they can see the real thing. Why do they want to?
I want a caricature of it.
I know.
It's like it. This
Like,
makes no
you can
sense.
list which attractions have remained pretty much unchanged, and I can only think of like
Jumping jellyfish.
3.
There's the trail thing.
The
hiking
Grizzly
thing.
Grizzly
River
River,
River
Run,
Run.
Jumping jellyfish, the Golden
The
Zephyr.
Golden Zephyr. What else hasn't changed? I'm not saying like they
Right.
rethemed like because
Was soaring there?
Soaring is
was
soaring over the world
Soaring?
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it hadn't really changed much.
We all wanted to go back.
We do. We
Well,
want
yeah.
the.
Nobody
That's
wants
one
the
we want the
CGI
original.
garbage.
They bring it back every food and wine festival. And then once it goes away, everyone's like, oh,
And then
"Why'd
there's-
you take it away?"
Then there's a guy outside going, oranges, oranges.
Get your orange scents here. Get your scentsy candles, oranges.
The animation building.
But yeah, we were supposed to get our
For
Westcott.
Yeah, for
Our
now.
Westcott,
They're closing it.
They also had the idea of a Port Disney in Long Beach, California. This is
Oh yes, I remember that.
So for their
for the cruises.
cruises to
So
come
there
in.
was going to be kind of like a Disney Sea, but and at Long Beach, California. So there was going to be another theme park there, but it would
Really?
connect with the cruise line. So
all
like, that's
those
where you
dreams
would-
I had back then.
Right?
That would have been
God.
great.
So like that's the first iteration of Disney Sea, and then when that got scrapped, Tokyo was all like, "We'll take it,"
Disney.
and then it built it.
you
over
did
there.
half the work for us. All we have to do is
Exactly.
build it.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Here's some fun ones. The Soviet Union has a pavilion. in
Yeah, I remember
Epcot.
hearing about
The
that.
Soviet Union.
I think
at
Switzerland
Epcot.
was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
do it.
Switzerland is the other one. Correct. So
Yeah.
for the Soviet Union, was gonna be like a theater show and a boat ride. And then Switzerland, they were gonna build the Matterhorn.
Problem with the Soviet Union one is the Soviet Union didn't last.
No, it did not. No, it did not. Here's some Animal Kingdom stuff that we didn't get.
Oh darn!
Oh, there's a lot.
But Switzerland was just cheap. They've still got money.
Yeah.
They got money. Why haven't they built theirs?
Yeah, it's
'Cause they
questionable
didn't
where
want
that
to.
where that money came from.
They didn't want to.
Scrooge McDuck could have been the character for the
Or Ludwig von Drake. Who knows?
But yeah, so with Animal Kingdom, there was going to be Beastly Kingdom or Mythical Creatures Land.
Oh yeah, that's right. The
Um,
dragon.
Oh,
Where's
yeah.
Where's the dragon?
Yeah, we're gonna have
And
we're
then
gonna
Avatar
mythical.
kind of filled that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, when they canceled that, it was, I remember because when I was working there, it was Camp Mini Mickey.
Yeah.
Oh, that was terrible. It
That
was
was
terrible. There was
there.
like a horrible Pocahontas show. That's where the Lion King show was. The
That was
festival.
really-
That was
That was a
good.
good
That one
show.
was good.
And well, yeah, it was so good that they're like, all right, well, we want to turn this area into something else, but we want to keep this show, and they built a theater in Africa for it. So yeah,
Seems appropriate.
Yeah.
but it's really sad because you still see remnants of
The dragon.
the dragon at the entrance point. Even like if you look along the river around the tree, like you still see those creatures and the skeletons of that still
All right, they're
around.
mythical. They can be there.
No feelings were hurt. No mythical feelings were hurt on that one.
Already kind of talked about Roger Rabbit's Hollywood. There was going to be a coaster, a simulator, and then Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin.
Who likes Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, someone in the Disney company were like,
I don't. He
Roger
is an annoying character.
He was
It's really
fun
hard to
at the
base
time.
it.
I liked the shorts. I really enjoyed the shorts.
Was it just kind of a throwback to kind of old
Yes,
cartoons?
I think so.
Yes.
Because it doesn't feel like a Disney, like
doesn't.
it doesn't feel
No.
like a Disney cartoon, which is kind of fun.
It's kind of got the Warner Brothers
Yeah.
Got
feel
that
to it.
arcade maroon feel to it.
Right. Maroon Studios. Wink.
I think they were maybe one wasn't, but most of them were very entertaining.
Right. So then we've talked about this in one of our older episodes, Disney's America in Virginia.
"Aw."
Oh yeah, we did talk about that.
Theme park that we never got.
There's a few of those.
There are a few of those.
That one would have been nice.
That would have
Yeah.
been
But that's
cool.
kind of like in my
Your
interest
wheel.
realm.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Oh, Disney World's Tomorrowland was gonna get a big update. There was gonna be
Tomorrow.
it was gonna be rethemed to Discoveryland to take after more of the Paris theming.
There's
Oh,
they're gonna go
always
steampunk style.
tomorrow.
Yeah, they were gonna have. They joked saying that we're gonna have functioning flying saucers, not like the ones Disneyland had,
Oh yeah, that went well.
right?
What happened to the flying?
Well,
oh,
they-
you're talking about the old ones from the
Yeah.
60s.
The old ones, and then they tried to recreate it at California
With the
Adventure,
Luigis.
and they did.
They
not
had
work.
kind of the same problem. It takes too long to figure out how to maneuver them for you to enjoy them
Now it's just a back like adjuster, just like let's dance, and you're like, it looks better than it is actually being in it.
Right.
I like
Um,
that
I
attraction.
do.
We were gonna have, and we've talked about this one on another prior episode, the Great Muppets Movie Ride.
Yeah, that one went away with Jim Henson passing away.
Correct. That one went
Yeah.
away because he passed away in negotiations.
It was gonna be big. They're gonna have a bigger
It was.
influence.
They were gonna have an entire land in the studios in MGM Studios.
It was gonna be kind of like the John Lasseter of like influence in
well.
the parks.
Well, they
for
had
that
already
part.
started construction on the restaurants for Muppet Land, and so Mama Melrose,
Melrose.
that was going to be the Swedish chef's restaurant, and I forgot what the other restaurant was going to be, but that became the Backlot Express.
Isn't there like the 50s diner
No,
right
that's
over
that's
there?
further. That's further down.
That's-
Okay.
closer to
That's
the entrance.
yeah, that's closer to the entrance.
That's around Echo Lake.
Now they're gonna get rid of all the Muppets, basically.
Well, they're moving.
Aren't they moving?
They're
to,
moving Rock and Roller
They're
Coaster.
moving to Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
For
wife
now.
was telling me about that. She's getting more into it now. You didn't know about that? No, I wait for Peter to tell me on a podcast.
See, Mark does the same. He's like, "Did you know this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I'll get you one day."
I don't bother.
And then the last ride that I have listed here was a Mount Fuji coaster for Japan.
Oh, that would have been
They
fun.
have lots of space back there. They
Yep.
could do it.
So those were the list of things that we did not get that they had announced.
There's
there were,
still time.
right? Hey, these ideas are not dead. Like, we can totally get Tommy Guns on Indiana Jones. That's a new way to spice
That's
things
gonna be
up.
on the new
That's gonna be-
Indiana
I want
Jones.
a
New
Webley.
Indiana
I
Jones.
want
You know, we're gonna
Indiana
shoot
Jones's gun.
animals on Indiana Jones's ride, right?
I think it would be better on Jungle Cruise.
Tommy Guns on Jungle
Welcome to the
Cruise.
Jungle Poachers. I'm on Zimba 1. He'll be on Zimba 2.
Right?
And when you shoot them, it's kind of like the arcade ride. The animal just dies for a moment.
Right. But
And then the skipper still tells his jokes.
This is crazy. This is too crazy.
Let's do it.
let's do it. We should have an overlay attraction about that, right? Wink.
That one didn't even make my list, but now I'm all for it.
So, you know, there was a lot of great ideas out there. Some of them may not have been that great.
What was when you went through that list, which one, like, are you glad that they did not do? You're
That
like,
they
thank
didn't do?
Thank goodness.
Off of this list, there were other things that Disney was working on, but they didn't announce, that I'm glad that they didn't do. But I think the thing that I think I would have really enjoyed probably would have been the Space Pavilion. If they were to gone forward with that, I think that would have been really cool.
Which one was like a really
And it was
lame
supposed
one?
to kind of compete with the, Cape Canaveral.
Right.
Kind of.
I would have loved to see the Great Muppet Movie Ride. That would have been
Ooh.
fun. That would have been great to see. I mean, some of these I'm like, eh. Like, yeah, I wish we got a better Little Mermaid ride.
Oh yeah, once you see the Imagineers plans, it ruins.
Oh yeah.
It always
Like the
ruins.
Ursula
Just
scene?
don't look at what the Imagineers came up with. You just feel like you were gypped.
Yeah.
It's
the
like thinking
Ursula
like, oh, I'm
scene
gonna
is
watch.
amazing. Like, cause like you get up and close with this giant Ursula. Like it was really cool looking.
I wish they did the bigger West Coast cruise port.
Oh, the
They-
Port Disney.
Disney really needs to invest more in their West Coast cruises.
It's probably the California
Oh, probably.
politics and everything.
Zoning regulations.
The environmental
and-
rules are very, very difficult. And I can
Yeah.
only imagine being close to the water,
Yep.
even though it's next to a port.
But there's a lot of reasons why these things never happened. We talked about one, which was Jim Henson. Him passing away, we didn't get any of the other Muppet stuff.
Mr. Wells passing away.
Frank Wells, that was a big one.
That's a huge one.
That
That,
was
that
a
was
big
the
one.
beginning
Remind
of the
me?
end for.
Frank Wells was the
He was like the Roy Disney.
Oh, he was
of-
the money guy of Eisner.
He was the
Correct.
get it
Okay.
done guy.
right. But the one I think probably gets the most blame is Euro Disney.
Oh yeah.
Euro Disney opened in '92, got the brunt of the blame.
Very,
because
very low attendance.
it
Very,
was
very
on the
low.
verge of like closing.
Because
That's how bad it was doing.
France was totally against it. They were not supporting it.
Right. And, and that happened early on in the Disney decade, which caused cutbacks on all of these projects. And that's why most of these projects did not happen. That's why California Adventure turned out the way it did. Honestly, I think the final thing that really impacted, that the Euro Disney impacted in terms of like what was like downsized, was Hong Kong Disneyland. I think that was kind of the last thing that Disney had released that was really impacted by.
That was the last thing that Michael Eisner
Correct.
did. His foot was out the door, or he was getting kicked out the door.
Right.
And Bob Iger was talking about that, like that was his first thing being like CEO.
Right.
Was seeing that open, even though it wasn't really his park.
Right. Correct. And so I think from that point onward, we had entered a new phase in the Disney parks and what we were getting and what things evolved into.
It's interesting because we're talking about the Disney decades, and this is like all the things they wanted to do, and then they did the same thing for the Disney 100 new things in the parks, and yet half of those things.
Yeah, half of those were statues. That if you wave at, they make noises. That's,
I think they missed out on cashing in on their big successes on the animated films. I mean,
I think
Beauty
so
and the
too.
Beast was
Yeah. Well,
huge.
The fact that they had plans to
Aladdin,
build the Little
Lion
Mermaid
King.
ride in '93.
Yes.
That's less than 5 years.
And they didn't
from-
follow through. They did not follow through. They
Yeah.
did not capitalize on that. Those 4 movies
They
were
could have built a
so
park.
huge.
They could have built a land off of that, and it would have been successful.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because every kid would have been like, "I want to go to that."
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yep. It's sad that there's a lot of those what would have been. But
Mhm.
but that's not to say we didn't get a lot of good things. We did get a lot of good things. We talked about some. We got the Tower of Terror. I think that's considered one of the best Imagineering theming attractions that Disney's ever made.
Do you think Hollywood Studios was kind of a money pit too?
The MGM Studios.
Yeah, MGM Studios, but everyone knows it's Hollywood Studios.
Right. I know.
Because they were moving their animation there, and then they were gonna do filming there, and then it kind of stopped.
Yeah, because it wasn't profitable. They weren't actually making money because they were losing money because they had to use theme park space to make these movies, which then would eat into their profits from the theme parks.
That's what I'm saying.
And
It's
so
like
you had,
it was
you
really
had conflicting
poor.
interests.
Yeah, it was really poor foresight to what they were trying to
Right.
do.
Right, and that's why that idea kind of fell apart. The whole living studio vibe, which we may end up talking about in, I think, in one of our next couple episodes here. But
Because I got that vibe when I was there in '92. It felt like you're watching people actually doing animation in the studio,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, you see all the stunt cars and props from the movies that had just come out recently, and I was like, this is so cool. I felt like we were on an actual movie studio lot.
Right. By 2000, that was all gone.
It's all gone.
DVDs killed
deteriorated.
it. DVDs killed that idea
DVD
of...
killed the studio. No,
It-
sorry.
it did, because what did the DVDs bring? Special features of behind the scenes of showing you how movies are made. And so now...
Honey, cancel the trip to Hollywood Studios. We got special features here.
Exactly.
Get the
exactly. You
popcorn.
didn't have to go to the Disney studios to see how they made Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No,
You-
I said the same
No,
thing about
I-
Lord of the Rings. I didn't need to go all the way down to New Zealand because I was like, you know what? these extra 4 or 6 hours of special features, I'm done. I don't
Yeah,
need New Zealand
exactly.
anymore.
Either.
It was more the pocketbook. I just bought 100 DVDs. There's no money to go on a trip.
But yeah, it's just interesting. Like the Disney decade, there was such great excitement.
There was a lot of
for it.
expansion.
Oh yeah, a lot of expansion.
Well, and also Universal was just kind of picking up.
Really, the Beetlejuice show? Oh yeah, Waterworld. Oh, watch out! Hit the car. Mr. Feeney's voice is talking back at you. Oh yeah, they were
But
really
it
rivalry.
was a new option for families to go to, and
Yeah,
I
you-
think it was cheaper.
We
Oh, yeah.
did go, and I regret it. I remember Dad going, "We could go to Disneyland or we go to Universal Studios." And we're like, "Oh, I've never been to Universal Studios." By 4 o'clock, I'm going, "I should have gone to Disneyland." That was my mentality of a 90 kid. I was like, "This was a mistake."
I think
Yes.
it wasn't until Harry Potter that it really cleared.
Right.
Oh. There must be a video in there.
I was like, "Mom's got the
like-
TV
I
loud."
was thinking, I was like, what's going on? Oh, it's gone. Okay. But oh yeah, like I remember when like my wife, she's all like, she's like, oh, we go to Disneyland a lot. Let's go to like Universal. We'll shake things up. And I go, why don't you take a look at their attractions?
You
and
really
you
wanna
tell
do.
me if you want to go, we'll go. And she looked, she goes, they're all screen rides. And I'm like, yes, they are. And she's like, I hate screen rides. I'm like, well, do you want to go to Disneyland or do you want to go to Universal? I guess we'll go to Disneyland.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that is the big draw. They have really upped their game, and everyone used to clown on them, like, "Oh, their parks are so dirty." And gross. I did not have that experience when I
No.
went to Universal Studio.
No.
When I walked
They've
into the Harry
cleaned up.
Potter land, I was like, "Wow!" I feel like I've walked right into the movie.
Yep.
They did a great
Yes.
job. So I people clowned on them. There's like, it's not Disneyland, but I thought they did a good job.
It was Six
And-
Flags that was dirty.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah. When I went to
yeah.
Six Flags first time, I was like, "Oh, we ain't in Disneyland anymore."
No.
Getting castles and coasters vibes here.
That's a local theme park.
I know. But most of our listeners are local anyway.
I'm just
so.
letting our listeners know.
That poor guy in Switzerland is like, "What is this castles and coasters?"
I must go. The yodelers
The
are
yodels-
suggesting I go to castles
Don't
and
go to
coasters.
castles and coasters.
No.
I'm surprised this place is still open.
Their mini golf saves them.
Yeah.
No, but let us know what you guys think. Out of these list of things that we talked about today, what would have excited you? Would you have been excited for an young Indiana Jones action show? Would you have been excited about the Great Movie Ride coming to Disneyland?
I do miss the Great Movie Ride.
Yes.
I almost proposed on the
We'll
Great
talk.
Movie Ride.
We'll talk about we'll talk about this later because that is going to be, I think, a subject matter in one of our future episodes here. But let us know what you think. You can reach out to us on all of our social medias, X, Instagram, and email us at matterhornyodelers@gmail.com. But until next time, auf Wiedersehen. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.